Hey guys, I'm back with another video. It's been about a week since I've posted my last video. I really do apologize, but I've just been kind of busy. A lot of you have been asking in the YouTube comments for another macro video. So exactly what we're going to do is we're going to give you another macro video. It's going to be easy, straightforward. I'm going to give you some tanking ones, some low level ones, and then some very basic macros that you can build off of. So I'm just going to give you the base on them. And if you want to add anything extra, feel free to go ahead. A lot of you have been asking me to stream on YouTube, so now I am streaming on YouTube. I'm also streaming on Twitch. And real quick, I wanted to shout out Zadie and Torora for becoming the latest members of the channel on YouTube. I really do appreciate that. Thank you guys for the love and support. Again, we're going to go over some very basic macros, some more in-depth ones, and I'm going to kind of tell you what exactly they mean. And on the screen here, as we go through them, you're going to see how to type them out. And then you can practice them yourselves in town or wherever you want to go. So pulling this up here, we're going to start with our very basic macro that I seem to get asked all the time. Is just a macro that I can put on a sword and shield when I need to. So very simple here. You're just going to do your dash equip slot 17, which 17 item slot is your offhand and 16 is your main hand. So remember that going forward. When I say equip slot 17, that means your offhand. When I say equip slot 16, that means your main hand. So for our very basic put on a sword and shield macro, we're going to do equip slot 17 and then your shield name. You have to type it out exactly how it is. And then right below equip slot 16, your one-handed weapon, exactly how it is. And then if you want to get into defensive stance right after that, cast defensive stance. Again, 16 equip slot 16 is your main hand, and equip slot 17 is your offhand. Now another weapon macro, if you want to just throw on a two-hand, let's say you went from that one hand to shield and now you want to go back to a two-hand, what I want you to do is I want you to do dash stop casting no worn two-handed axes. Now what this means is it's basically telling the game that, oh, you don't have a two-handed axe on, I'm going to stop casting. So what that means is if you have a heroic strike queued, it's going to stop that. If you have a cleave queued, it's going to stop that, and it's going to realize you don't have an axe on immediately, and it's going to equip that two-handed axe or whatever that two-handed weapon is. So obviously if you have, it's a sword, you'll say two-handed swords. So again, stop casting, no worn two-handed axes, equipped axe of Ogrimmar, or whatever your two-handed weapon is. Again, that stop casting is basically telling the game, okay, he doesn't have a two-handed axe on or whatever two-handed weapon you're wanting to put on. I'm going to stop casting heroic. That's going to unqueue, and my cleave is going to unqueue, and it's going to immediately swap, so you get that faster reaction time. Now going forward here, we're going to do another macro here, basically putting on a shield and then casting shield block. This is essentially your oh shit button. Now, if you've been following my videos and you are Fury Prot, you know that we took the improved shield block talent, so you get an increased block attack. This macro, literally alone, will save your life. So we're going to go ahead and do start attack, stop casting, no worn shields. That is telling the game that you do not have a shield on, so it's going to stop your heroic strike queue. It's going to stop your cleave queue. It's going to stop any ability that you have queued. It's going to stop it. You're going to equip slot 17, your shield, equip slot 16, your sword or your axe or your dagger, your mace. You're going to cast defensive stance, and then you're going to cast your shield block. So this is like, I'm a DPS warrior, or for whatever reason your tank dies or your tank gets CC'd. This is literally your oh shit button. Again, start attack, stop casting, equip slot 17, equip slot 16, cast defensive stance, and then cast that shield block. Now, same thing here, except we're going to be talking about shield bash. Shield bash is an interrupt that you can use with the shield. So again, start attack, stop casting. This tells the game, no worn shields, tells the game you don't have a shield on. We need to stop casting right now. Put on the shield, equip slot 17, put on the one hand, equip slot 16, cast your battle stance and shield bash. Now, why I'm saying cast battle stance here is because it can be a little tricky, especially low level if you do not have tactical mastery. We're just going to assume that this is a kind of a low level macro and that you are in battle stance right now, and we don't want you to switch stances so you lose that rage. So because you can use shield bash in battle stance. So we're going to put that cast battle stance and then cast shield bash. Now, your basic pummel, which is another interrupt that warriors have, but not till way later in the game, you get shield bash pretty early. Pummel's another interrupt that you get in Berserker Stance. Show tooltip Pummel, start attack, cast Berserker Stance, cast Pummel. Very simple. Now, if you want a Mocking Blow, which is, again, essentially a taunt that a warrior can get, but it can only be used in battle stance, so people need to remember that when they're swapping in between rage, or if you don't have tactical mastery, think about that for a second. You might have to add a cast Blood Rage in here. You might have to add, add something in there, maybe add cast Berserker Rage, then you'd have to swap stances. That's where it gets a little confusing, but this is a very basic Mocking Blow macro. We're going to do start attack, cast battle stance, cast Mocking Blow. Now, this is more of a low level macro, I guess. This is if you're tanking with sweeping strikes, which again, you can tank obviously arms later on in the game, but this is a great macro for casting sweeping strikes and then getting back into defensive stance if that's what you want, or if you just want to, use sweeping strikes or cast it. So we're going to do start attack, stop casting 2 or form 2 out of 3. Now, what this means is basically that it's telling you to stop casting whatever form you're in. You need to swap stances immediately, cast battle stance right after that, and then cast sweeping strikes. Again, you need to keep in mind what this macro does well is that if you have full 5 points in tactical mastery, you're only going to have 25 rage, right? Sweeping strikes is 30 rage. So what that stop casting form 2 out of 3 means is that you're going to stop casting in whatever stance you are. That means when you cast into battle stance, you're going to get an auto off. And if that auto hits, hopefully it does, it should automatically cast that sweeping strikes for you. If it doesn't, you might have to click it again. So again, that's what that means. Now, this macro is for alliance only. This can be for a hardcore situation. This can be for really any situation. Let's say you pull threat and the paladin bops you, right? And the situation's already taken care of, so you want to get the bop off right away. This also goes for potentially salvation or any other buff like arcane intellect or any buff that you want to get off of you. So what you'll do is, let's say you're casting Bloodthirst and then you want to get rid of, the bop. So what you'll do is you'll cancel Aura Blessing of Protection that takes bop off of your bar without you having to click it off, start attack, cast Bloodthirst. So basically, again, this is an ability or a macro to where you got bopped because you were pulling threat, or you got bopped for whatever reason. You want to get it off right away and you want to start pumping again. Cancel Aura Blessing of Protection. You need to spell it perfectly. Start attack, cast Bloodthirst. Now, probably the most basic macro here, and this is a low level macro. Especially if you're low level tanking, like I've talked about in my videos, you're really just sitting in defensive stance, to be honest. So what you're going to do, this is an overpower one. So, if you're tanking in arms and low level, which you should be, you have that improved overpowered talent with that 50% increased crit. You want to pump a little bit, put out some decent damage, but you're in defensive stance. Obviously, you can only use overpower in battle. So you're going to do start attack, cast battle stance, and then cast overpower. Those are some very basic macros, a couple in-depth ones for you guys, and I kind of explained what you need to be typing or what exactly you're typing. I hope this video helped, and I will see you guys another time.